Hey family, this is Stacy, and in this short video, we're going to break this 2 hour long video into pieces. And in this first part, I want to have Dr. Claud tell you all about the black codes and what we had to deal with after slavery. So people like to say, oh, slavery was over at this point in time. Slavery was over this many years ago. Well, then after slavery, there were a lot of things that went on that were put in law that was just like slavery. So let's get a little up on the black codes. And yeah, I'm going to pause the music because I love you.
And what the South did immediately after the 14th Amendment went into process, they passed what's called a Black Codes in 1865 and 66. The Black Codes then said that any black person who used to be a slave, who's now free, he must be able to show me he has a contract for employment in his hand by the 1st of January. Or therefore I can arrest you and charge you with vagrancy and put you back into a plantation and slave you again. Now, all the people knew that. They didn't raise any cane about it. Today, that's still a part of our Constitution. I don't hear my black scholars. Where's the appropriate behavior? Now, why is that important now when I talk about appropriate behavior? Because now there's a bill on the Hill where some white conservatives now want to lay claim to the 14th Amendment and say they're going to write a law called Equal Opportunity Act. What they're going to say now is that bill can be used for whites too, so that you can now not infringe on their rights. And what black folks should have done is gone back to the slaughterhouse case in 1872, which says that the 14th Amendment was strictly written for black people. That's what, in other words, whites are using the 14th Amendment for reverse discrimination charges against black folk. Now, you all follow me through on this. How can you allow somebody, if something is written on this side to help save you from this guy, how can you let him take the same law and knock your brains out on the other side with it? Am I losing you all on this now?
All right. So, this is back when my daughter was born. My daughter's 35. That's just what they used to get rid of the Affirmative Action, right? The Equal Opportunity Employment Act, Equal Employment Opportunity, EEOC. They have a whole commission for that. Okay, so this is back then. Like he said, where are black scholars? They scared and they're afraid. And somebody has to wake them up.
But so how can whites come around now and claim use of the 14th Amendment that was written to protect black folk from whites? And now whites are taking it and use it to hit blacks with it. Where are my black lawyers and judges? And you got a black sitting on the Supreme Court now. It keeps ruling, talking about he's the constitutional authority based on the Constitution. I'm just telling you, the Constitution is knocking our brains out. I don't need no more Constitution. So, but all these questions need to be raised in our court system about what's happening to us. And nobody's doing that. So in the bottom line, what I'm saying to you is that we got major problems in society, but we keep doing all these things wrong. We are poor and impoverished because we don't build communities, as I told you a few minutes ago. Secondly, we are the richest nation on earth outside of the United States as black folk. In the world, we are the 9th richest nation on earth. We got an annual disposable income of $382 billion. But we violate all the norms of economics as black folk. That's inappropriate behavior. Your money is supposed to bounce 8 to 12 times before it leaves your community. I'm going to say that again. Black money is supposed to bounce 8 to 12 times. That means it must go through at least 8 to 12 black hands before it gets out of the Crenshaw neighborhood.
Talking about the Shaw, born and raised. Trying to tell them people.
Black money does not bounce one time. As soon as a black person gets paid, he's got this inexcusable denial in his mind, saying, as soon as I get paid, I'm going to run over every other black and get into the suburbs to spend it in a white store, in a white mall. And the Jews, on the other hand, their money bounced 18 times before it leaves their community. You look at the discrepancy between one bouncing not once and one's bouncing 18 times. Black people right now spend 95% of their money outside of their own communities. They spend 5% in their communities. In their communities, they spend 3% of that with non-black owned businesses. Black folk try to live off of 2% of their disposable income. They keep 2% every year. Then they take that 2% and put it into a savings account, a bank, and then they can't even get a loan from the white bank they put it into. Now, anybody's right mind knows that it's humanly impossible for you to live off of 2% of your income. It can't be done, but we keep trying to do the impossible. Why do we keep trying to live off of 2% and you know it can't be done? So what happens then is every night, every black community in America goes bankrupt when the last non-black in a black community closes up the store, cleans out the cash register, and goes home. We go bankrupt from that night until the next morning. And the reason we're doing that, the reason we're so impoverished, is because other groups are also boycotting us. We don't have any business structures in our neighborhoods because others are boycotting you. As long as you live, you'll never see a white person because his money is bouncing in his own community. So he's not going to let his money bounce in your community. So when he gets money, he keeps it. You don't see him getting in his car on a Saturday morning, like this morning, driving down to a black neighborhood, getting out of his car, going into a black store, buying a black-made product.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because he's absolutely correct. And my other life, my first life, is being a self-employed individual. Because, I got tired of training people who are not black that got paid more than me with all the skills that I brought to the table. So we need to stop teaching our children to get an education, to get a job. Because there are no black employers that will care enough or that are there. They say there are, if you're in a room with 300 black people, so I'm in a room with 300 black people. I am the only one that is self-employed. It's not because we don't know how to do it. It's because we've been trained to what? Get a good education and get a job. Well, you're getting a job to make white people rich.
He doesn't do that. If he does do that, I told y'all before, take a picture of it if you see it. It might be very valuable one day. Every black I know tries to get into Chinatown every Friday and Saturday evening. Have you ever seen Chinese trying to get into a black neighborhood to buy anything? Then why do you keep doing it? Inappropriate behavior. You keep doing everything inappropriately, backwards. You got to quit doing it. I'm not telling you to be mean or against anybody. I'm not telling you to be against. I'm saying take care of your own people. Don't do what they're doing in slavery. And an instance of that, let me jump back into history again. On the eve of the Civil War, we had over 6,200 blacks in America that owned other slaves. 6,200 blacks were slave owners. Now, let me break that down a little more specific for if you don't understand what I'm talking about, not looking out for your own people, inappropriate behavior. Same thing out of Africa. They never changed all these things, still doing the same thing, and it's brainwashing, seeing things upside down. In New Orleans, for instance, in New Orleans, I only had 842 blacks in the city at the time. And out of the 842, 612 of them owned slaves. Because they thought they were of a different color. They called themselves Creole and mulatto, so they wouldn't enslave the rest of their people. And when blacks tried to break free in New Orleans, out in the parish, in Jefferson Parish, the blacks went and joined the whites to put down a black revolt. And not only did they put it down, they helped slaughter the blacks. They chopped our heads off and put a head on a pole or something like every 100 yards, all leading all the way into New Orleans. That's inappropriate behavior of our people. Keep doing it in your own people. And then trying to find justifiable reasons. When the day you do the same thing, it's inappropriate behavior, same kind of behavior pattern, you're still killing your people. When I ask, why don't you go to a black store and spend your money at a black store? They said, Doctor, I want to go to his store. I don't go to his store. Why? I say, well, he sells it costs too much. He charges more than the guy 3 doors down. I said, who's the guy 3 doors down? Well, he's Chinese. I said, who's the guy? Well, he's black. See, that's inappropriate behavior because they don't understand what we call cost-benefit analysis, which means where are you getting the greatest benefit? Where do you get the greatest benefit for your race and your people and your money? If you go spend $1 with a black here and you go spend $1 with a white, and the white or the Chinese takes it out of his community and uses it against you. At some point, somebody's got to be home upstairs. You got to say, yes, it might cost me a few pennies more to buy from a black, but I get more in return. Particularly if I can get him to keep that money in his neighborhood and spend it with another black person. They said, well, what if his merchandise is bad? And you go down there and tell him. You go down there and tell him, let me tell you something. You got 6 months to clean up this place. You got 6 months to put in a better quality product. You got 6 months to start putting up better security and lighting in here. And you got 6 months to change your negative attitude. And hold him accountable. We must have an accountability system for our merchants and say, you got a responsibility. Now, I just got back from Detroit, Michigan last week, and my mother is old now and sort of senile, and my sister is also got some handicapping problems. She went down and bought a ham. And in Detroit, Michigan, almost all your key essentials are owned by whites, by Arabs, your gas station, your food stores. She showed me a ham she was going to fix that day. And she said, this doesn't look right. She said, will you take a look at it for me? I looked at it, and it had that slime on it. I said, where'd you get that? She said, I got it from Savon's Arab store down the street there where they sell the groceries. And I'd already looked in it, and I could smell the rotten meat when I come in the store. And it's all the stores in the city, because they're not black-owned stores. I said, cut that ham open, let me see it. She cut the ham open, and now you're going to see the pus oozing out of it. And said, I'm going back on the radio in about 2 days back in Detroit. I'm going to ask every black in that city to close down all those darn stores. They got to quit doing that to black folk. And they go over and buy old vegetables from the main supermarket and bring them to the black neighborhoods. And I said, some black leadership, and this city has got a black mayor, a black city council, a black chief of police, a black school superintendent, a black mayor. How can you let people sell your people? Like my mother, an 80-year-old woman, sell her infested rotten meat with maggots in it. Inappropriate behavior. And they keep saying, well, Dr. Anderson, we're electing the blacks, they're going downtown, they're representing, then pull them out of office. You get people out of office, and don't support anybody in your community that won't support you in the black community. I don't care what color he is. Pull them out of office. How do you pull them off? You pull them out of office through accountability, recalls, and if you can't get to them, boycott whoever puts them in office. We got to get wealth and power as quick as we can if we're going to survive. The time is running out. We need money. We don't need jobs, we need money. And in conclusion, there's the one lady told me, she said, Dr. Anderson, she said, I love everything you say, but you got to quit talking about money all the time. I said, why? She said, because money is not everything. So I said, tell me what money is not. She said, well, money can't buy you love. I said, I'll tell you what. I said, without finance, it won't be any romance.
Right on, right on.
She said, you know, you can make all those smart statements you want. I tell you what, I bet you money won't take you to heaven. I said, I tell you what, you let money take me as far as it can, I get off and walk the rest of the way. So in my last thing, she said, well, I'll tell you what. She says, I don't care what you say, Dr. Anderson. As far as I'm concerned, money is the root of all evil. I said, you're right. I said, because when I don't have any money and my people don't have anything, I am evil. Okay? So I thank you and I love you.
All right. So take that in, and it's not only about the black codes. It's about the whole, money thing. I mean, yeah, this is a long time ago. So, like, where do we go from here? First things first, get knowledge from educated people like this man and start where you can. You can start where you can. I'm trying to get people to understand that we're not going to go anywhere until there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that want to unify on some kind of same mental level where this man was trying to take us back in. This is about 88, 89. Okay, so this is part 1 of probably about 10 of this whole 2-hour series. A speech he was giving at a church in South Central Los Angeles. He said Crenshaw District, where I was born and raised. I went to private school as a black person because, my parents knew me and my 10 other siblings are black. But my parents taught, get an education, get a job. But their last child flipped it to get an education, get a job, say F the F the job, become the job. And that's what I'm trying to teach people. I'm in construction, best industry in the world. And I teach my people for free. There is a need over the next 10 years. They need 2 million construction workers. I can give you the book knowledge, and then they just eat you alive and pay you whatever you ask for to teach you the site knowledge. So if you're interested, let me know. Talk to you and see you very soon.